Bayern Munich, or as I like to call them, Germany's auto-renewed Bundesliga champions. They've won so much that the Meisterschale might as well be renamed the Bayern Participation Trophy. But with great dominance comes great boredom, and also some seriously underappreciated teams. Enter Pep Guardiola, football's resident tactical philosopher, a man who can turn a simple game into a 3-hour TED Talk. When he took over Bayern Munich, he wasn't just given a team. He was given the team. The treble winners. The "we just bullied everyone in Europe" squad. His job? Improve on perfection. No pressure, Pep. But did he actually make Bayern better? Or did he overcomplicate things until they collapsed like a Jenga tower in the Champions League? Let's dive into the soap opera that was Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich. 1. Pre-Pep Bayern, when they were just okay at winning everything. Before we analyze Pep's tenure, let's talk about the Bayern he inherited. Between 2007 and 2012, Bayern Munich won only 2 Bundesliga titles and 2 DFB Pokals. I say only because for any normal club, that's incredible. But for Bayern, that's crisis mode. That's boardroom panic. That's "we must fix this immediately" energy. And then 2012 happened. Bayern were done playing around. They hired Jupp Heynckes, aka the Fixer. You know that guy in every action movie who comes in, cleans up the mess, and disappears? That's Heynckes. He took Bayern from nearly men to world beaters. They steamrolled Germany and Europe, won a treble, and humiliated Barcelona 7-0 on aggregate in the Champions League. That was Bayern saying, "Hey La Masia, nice tiki-taka. Here's some Bundesliga efficiency. Hope you like it." Imagine Barcelona's squad watching the second leg unfold like a horror movie. Messi clutching his head, Xavi whispering, "¿Qué está pasando?" And Iniesta realizing, "Oh no, we're the ones getting pressed to death this time." This wasn't a tactical chess match. It was a full-blown demolition job. That Barcelona team had Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, and still got folded like a lawn chair. Bayern didn't just beat Barcelona, they made them question their entire philosophy. It's like walking into the gym with your perfect workout routine, only to see someone bench press twice your weight while eating a pretzel. This was supposed to be the greatest Barcelona era, and yet, here they were, looking like school kids against a team that just didn't care for their beautiful game nonsense. Bayern weren't just winning, they were speedrunning German football like it was a video game. The Bundesliga became their personal FIFA career mode on amateur difficulty. Oh, Dortmund won last year? Cute. Here's a 25-point gap for your troubles. Even Schalke fans, who were still dreaming of their club's "we might be back" phase, just sighed and accepted their fate. Bayern's reaction to losing a Champions League final at home? Let's make sure we never lose again. And they didn't. They lost the 2012 UCL final to Chelsea in their own stadium. That's the football equivalent of throwing a party and getting kicked out by your own guests. Bayern responded the only way Bayern knows how, by assembling an Avengers-level squad that came back the next year and obliterated everything in sight. Revenge tour. More like a full-scale invasion. 2013 Bayern was peak, "we are inevitable" energy. This team didn't just win games, they ended them in the first half. Opposition managers weren't making halftime speeches, they were writing apology letters. The Bundesliga trophy was delivered before the season even started. It was that dominant. So when Pep Guardiola took over in 2013, he wasn't inheriting a club in need of a rebuild. He was stepping into the footballing version of a self-driving car. The only problem? Pep doesn't like self-driving cars. He prefers to take the engine apart, rebuild it from scratch, and make it 10% more efficient, even if that means occasionally crashing into a tree. But more on that later. 2. Pep Guardiola arrives. Tiki-taka meets Lederhosen. So how do you improve on that? Simple. You hire a man whose entire philosophy revolves around playing football like it's chess. Pep Guardiola. Fresh off a sabbatical in New York, where he presumably spent hours contemplating whether a 2-3-5 formation could work in real life, Pep arrived in Munich. His first challenge? Learning German. His reaction? Immediate regret. "It is so complicated even for German kids to learn," Pep said. And yet after just a few months he delivered a full press conference in German. That's commitment. Or insanity. Same thing. Imagine Pep sitting in New York, sipping coffee, reading Nietzsche, and plotting inverted fullbacks before they were cool. While other coaches might take a break by, I don't know, watching a game for fun, Pep was in a dimly lit Brooklyn cafe, surrounded by chess grandmasters, sketching triangles on napkins. He wasn't on sabbatical. He was in the football equivalent of a secret laboratory, plotting his next move like a Bond villain. You just know he had a whiteboard filled with arrows pointing in every direction. A man so dedicated, he learns German before English despite knowing he was eventually heading to England. It's like preparing for a vacation to Paris by mastering Japanese. Classic Pep. He didn't need to learn German. Most Bayern staff spoke English. But no, Pep had to go full method actor. He probably spent his first few weeks in Munich conjugating German verbs instead of working on set pieces. Meanwhile, Jurgen Klopp was out there casually winning Bundesliga titles with a Duden dictionary in his back pocket. Pep in his first Bayern press conference, Guten Tag, and the entire Allianz Arena bursts into applause. Imagine the scene. Thousands of Bayern fans, journalists, and club officials packed into the Allianz Arena for a press conference. The anticipation is through the roof. Then Pep steps up, says, Guten Tag, and everyone reacts like he just scored a Champions League winning goal. Meanwhile, Arjen Robben is in the back thinking, I've played here for years and never got that much love. Bayern fans weren't sure what to expect, but they knew one thing. Pep was about to make things complicated. Bayern were already dominant, but Pep doesn't do simple. Bayern fans expected a few tactical tweaks. Instead, they got a masterclass in overthinking. 1 week, Lahm is a right back. The next, he's a defensive midfielder. The week after that, he's playing false nine in a 3-2-4-1 hybrid system with asymmetrical wingbacks. Even the FIFA video game engine couldn't keep up with what Pep was doing. The Bundesliga was about to experience positional play, whether it wanted to or not. German football is all about speed, directness, and efficiency. It's a well-oiled machine. Pep saw this and said, what if we passed the ball 700 times before shooting? Teams that were used to pressing high suddenly found themselves chasing shadows for 90 minutes. Pep turned Bayern into a footballing metronome, and Bundesliga defenders spent entire matches wondering, are we ever going to touch the ball? So here was Pep, in a new country, speaking a new language, coaching a team that had just conquered the world. His task? To take Bayern to an even higher level. But there was just one tiny problem. Bayern fans didn't necessarily want a higher level. They just wanted more of the same. Unfortunately for them, Pep Guardiola doesn't do same. He does revolution, whether you like it or not. 3. Pep's first season, a tactical science experiment. Now, Pep wasn't coming to just win. He was coming to revolutionize. His first order of business? Tactical experiments. So many tactical experiments. We saw a 4-1-4-1, a 4-2-3-1, a 3-5-2, and probably a 7-2-1 in training. No formation was safe. Even Philipp Lahm, who had been a right back his entire life, suddenly became a midfielder. Because why not? Bayern were still winning, but some fans were confused. They missed the ruthless counter-attacking Bayern under Heinkes. They saw Pep's slow, methodical build-up play and thought, are we Barcelona now? And then the Madrid massacre happened. Pep spent the first 6 months treating Bayern like a football laboratory, except the experiments were happening during actual matches. Most managers test new tactics in training. Pep? He does it live. 1 week, Müller is a center forward, the next he's a deep-lying midfielder. And by the weekend, he's an inverted goat herder pressing specialist. If there was a Champions League game in 3 days, no problem. Time to test a revolutionary double inverted wingback setup with a false 6 and a libero hybrid false 9. Even Bayern's players must have been thinking, can we just play football the normal way? Philipp Lahm spent a decade mastering the art of right-back play. Pep took one look and said, nah, you're a midfielder now. Imagine being one of the best right-backs in history and showing up for training, only for Pep to hit you with, you're a pivot now, congratulations. Lahm, being the ultimate professional, just nodded and started dictating midfield like he had been doing it his entire life. Meanwhile, Bayern's actual midfielders are standing there like, so what do we do now? Bayern's formation board looked like a flowchart created by a conspiracy theorist. No joke, trying to analyze Bayern's shape under Pep was like solving a Sherlock Holmes mystery. If you paused a game at any moment, you'd see 4 different formations at once. Wait, is this a 4-1-4-1 or a 2-3-5? Are we defending with a back 4, or is that David Alaba playing center back, left back, and winger at the same time? Even Bayern's analysts probably gave up and just started drawing random arrows on the tactics board. Pep turned Bayern into a well-oiled machine that occasionally short-circuited in the Champions League. Domestically, Bayern were obliterating everyone. They won the Bundesliga in record time. But then came the Champions League, where all of Pep's tactical wizardry would meet a fatal flaw. Actual elite counter-attacking teams. His high defensive line looked amazing against Freiburg and Augsburg, but against Cristiano Ronaldo and Gareth Bale, disaster. The 2014 Madrid semi-final was Pep's villain origin story. Bayern fans still have PTSD from this game. The first leg, a respectable 1-0 loss at the Bernabeu. Not bad, we can turn this around at home. Then came the second leg, 4-0, 4-0, at home. Sergio Ramos scores 2 headers before Bayern even realizes what's happening, and then Cristiano Ronaldo puts on a counter-attacking clinic. Pep's grand tactical plan, burned to the ground in 90 minutes. That Madrid game should have come with a content warning, not suitable for possession-based managers. Pep loves control. He loves precise movement, meticulous positioning, and complete dominance of the ball. Madrid? Madrid just shrugged and said, "We'll have 36% possession and score 4 goals. Thanks." This game was Pep's footballing nightmare. An absolute masterclass in why having the ball doesn't always mean you're in control. So Pep's first season at Bayern was a blend of tactical brilliance, Bundesliga domination, and Champions League disaster. Bayern were still winning, but some fans weren't sure if they were watching football or a live tactical experiment. And with that Madrid defeat, the narrative was set. Pep Guardiola's Bayern were too clever for their own good. But as we'll see, Pep wasn't done tweaking, adjusting, and, let's be honest, overthinking everything. 4. The Madrid Meltdown, a tactical nightmare. Champions League semi-finals 2014, Bayern vs Real Madrid, Pep vs Ancelotti, high line vs counter-attack merchants. You know where this is going. First leg, Bayern lose 1-0 at the Bernabeu. Second leg, disaster. Real Madrid rip Bayern apart 4-0 at the Allianz Arena, 5-0 on aggregate. Pep's beautiful, precise football, completely obliterated by Sergio Ramos' headers and BBC, Bale Benzema Cristiano, counterattacks. Imagine spending all season perfecting a symphony, only to get drowned out by a rock band playing Highway to Hell. That was Bayern that night. This wasn't just a defeat, it was an exorcism. The Allianz Arena didn't witness a football match that night. It witnessed an exorcism of tiki-taka football. Pep stood on the sidelines, staring into the abyss, as Real Madrid players turned his carefully crafted positional play into roadkill. Sergio Ramos scoring 2 headers in 4 minutes? That was the moment Pep's soul left his body. Sergio Ramos scored 2 headers before Bayern even finished their first rondo. Bayern were busy passing triangles around Madrid's pressing shadows when boom, Ramos' header. Before they could recalibrate, boom, Ramos' header, again. Bayern players looked around in confusion like, wait, they're allowed to just launch the ball into our box and score? That's illegal, right? Meanwhile, Ancelotti was just sipping his espresso, watching it all unfold like a mafia boss overseeing a heist. Real Madrid's game plan? Defend, survive, counterattack, and it worked perfectly. Madrid barely had the ball, but every time they got it, it felt like a cheat code had been activated. Bale and Ronaldo ran at Bayern's defense like they were playing Need for Speed, Allianz Arena edition. Bayern were still busy executing perfect positional rotations while Madrid were just like, cool story, bro, here's a 40-yard sprint and a goal. That was the night Bayern's high defensive line officially joined the list of football's most dangerous jobs. You think being a miner or a deep-sea diver is dangerous? Try playing center-back in Pep's Bayern against Madrid's front 3. Dante and Boateng were left in footballing purgatory, constantly looking over their shoulders like, where's Bale? Where's Ronaldo? Oh God, where's the ball? It was less of a tactical setup and more of a psychological horror experience. The Bayern high line was so high it had to go through airport security. If Bayern's defensive line was any higher up the pitch, it would have needed passports. You could practically see Neuer screaming, guys, I love sweeping, but I can't be playing as a full-time center back. This was the footballing equivalent of parking your car in the middle of the highway and wondering why it keeps getting hit. Pep's tactics were built on control. Madrid took that control, chewed it up, and spat it out. Guardiola's entire footballing philosophy revolves around control, controlling the ball, controlling the tempo, controlling space. Madrid? They don't do control, they do violence. Every counterattack felt like a sledgehammer smashing through a glass sculpture. Bayern had 64% possession but 0 control. Madrid had 36% possession but 4 goals and a first-class ticket to the final. Bayern had 700 passes. Madrid had 4 goals. Efficiency at its finest. Pep's Bayern passed and passed and passed like a computer processing an algorithm, waiting for the perfect moment. Madrid? They took the ball, made 3 passes, and scored. Rinse and repeat. Imagine spending the whole day crafting the perfect gourmet meal, only for someone to walk in, grab a bag of Doritos, and declare, dinner's ready. This was the night tiki-taka football officially got rebranded as possession without purpose. Bayern's passing looked mesmerizing, until you realized it wasn't going anywhere. The beautiful build-ups ended in hopeful crosses or blocked shots. Madrid just sat deep, waited and said, "Go on, pass it around. We'll be over here, scoring goals while you admire your own triangles." By the 70th minute, Bayern's fans weren't even mad. They were just numb. At 0-3, you could see Bayern fans just sitting there in silence like they had just watched their team get dismantled in slow motion. There were no angry chants, no boos, just existential dread. If you zoomed in on the crowd, you could probably see a fan staring at the pitch like, "I paid $100 for this?" So Bayern dominated the Bundesliga, but in Europe, Pep's tactics met their kryptonite, elite counter-attacking teams. This wasn't just a loss. It was a wake-up call. Pep's dream of control through possession had been crushed by a team that didn't need the ball to control the game. Bayern were left picking up the pieces, while Madrid cruised to their 10th Champions League title. But Pep? Oh, he wasn't done tweaking things just yet. 5. The cycle repeats. Champions League pain. Despite back-to-back Bundesliga dominance, the story kept repeating in Europe. 2015, Barcelona humbled them, and Jerome Boateng got his soul stolen by Messi. 2016, Atlético Madrid knocked them out on away goals, despite Bayern bombarding them with 34 shots in the second leg. At this point, Bayern fans had accepted their fate. Domestic bullies, European underachievers. Bayern in Germany, Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. Bayern in Europe, that one boss fight you just can't win. Bayern in the Bundesliga were an unstoppable force. It was like watching someone play FIFA career mode on rookie difficulty. They didn't just win games, they ended them in the first half. Then came the Champions League, where suddenly their powers disappeared. It was like switching the game difficulty from easy to Dark Souls. 2015. Messi turns Boateng into a meme. If the 2014 Madrid defeat was humiliating, the 2015 Barcelona match was historic, for all the wrong reasons. Bayern fans had high hopes, thinking, "All right, we learned from last year. Let's do this." Then Lionel Messi turned Boateng into a statue. In one move, he sent Jerome into another dimension, while Neuer looked on in horror. Bayern lost 3-0 in the first leg. At that point, the entire club needed a group therapy session. Bayern's reaction to Messi cooking their defense? Let's sign Douglas Costa and hope for the best. Elaborate. The club's response to the Messi disaster was classic Bundesliga logic. Okay, we got destroyed by the best front three of all time. Let's get a new winger and see what happens. Meanwhile, Barcelona were out here adding more firepower to an already terrifying team. Bayern didn't need tactical adjustments, they needed a prayer. 2016, Atlético Madrid, the art of winning without the ball. If the Madrid and Barcelona defeats were brutal, Atlético Madrid's elimination of Bayern was just painful. Diego Simeone's side treated the ball like a toxic substance. You want possession? Cool. We'll take 2 shots and still qualify. And somehow, it worked. Bayern had 34 shots in the second leg. Atlético had about 3. Guess who went through? Imagine being Pep Guardiola, designing the perfect tactical setup, coaching your players to dominate, watching your team create chance after chance, only for Atlético Madrid to score with their only counterattack of the game. Bayern players were launching shots like it was a Call of Duty match, while Simeone was on the sideline drinking mate like, "Yeah, this is going exactly to plan." Thomas Müller missed a penalty. That was the moment Bayern fans knew the football gods were against them. There are certain moments in football that just break a team's spirit. Müller missing that penalty in the second leg? That was one of them. You could feel the entire Allianz Arena deflate. It was like watching a kid drop their ice cream in slow motion. The moment that ball sailed wide, Bayern fans knew, yeah, this isn't happening, is it? Bayern dominated everything except the scoreboard. Atlético dominated suffering and went through. This was the most Atlético Madrid result of all time. Bayern controlled possession, took 34 shots, and still got eliminated. Atlético, meanwhile, played defense like their lives depended on it, scored a single crucial goal, and walked away victorious. Pep must have been looking at the stats sheet after the game like, what am I even supposed to do with this? At this point, Pep had become the Leonardo DiCaprio of football. So much talent, so much success, but no Champions League trophy since leaving Barcelona. You know when an actor keeps putting in Oscar-worthy performances but never actually wins the award? That was Pep. Bayern played stunning football, dominated every team in Germany, and then crashed out in Europe like clockwork, Bayern fans were starting to believe the club was cursed. 3 seasons, 3 semi-final exits, 3 different Spanish clubs knocking Bayern out. It was as if La Liga had a personal vendetta against Guardiola. By this point, Bayern fans had accepted the pattern: dominate the Bundesliga, raise hopes in the Champions League, and then watch it all crumble in the semis. Pep had built something special in Munich, but the Champions League remained an unsolved puzzle, and as we'll see, he wouldn't be sticking around much longer to fix it. 6. Pep Guardiola's legacy: genius or overthinker. In 2016, Pep left for Manchester City, where he had an unlimited budget and free reign to build the footballing equivalent of the Death Star. But was his time at Bayern a success? What he did right: tactically evolved Bayern, even if it confused them, won the Bundesliga every year, which, okay, is like winning Employee of the Month at your own company, paved the way for future dominance. Bayern have basically been on autopilot ever since. What he did wrong: Champions League collapses, 3 semi-final exits in 3 years, overcomplicated tactics. Seriously, what was that Madrid game? Alienating some players. Dante was out here saying Pep had no human touch. Ouch. So was Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich an undeniable success, or a case of overthinking to the point of self-destruction? The answer, like most Pep teams, is complicated. Closing thoughts: Bayern's Pep era in a nutshell. At the end of the day, Pep's Bayern was a mix of tactical brilliance, Bundesliga dominance, and Champions League heartbreak. It was like a Michelin-starred meal served on a broken plate. Gorgeous, but something felt off. What do you think? Was Pep's Bayern an underappreciated masterpiece, or a case of too much Pep, not enough pragmatism? Drop your takes in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe for more football deep dives with a twist of sarcasm. Until next time, stay sane and avoid high defensive lines against Real Madrid.